The US gets to choose its next president in 6 weeks from now, but whoever ends up in the White House will have an impact well outside the United States of America on every part of the world, but be it through trade, economy or military action. Throughout our coverage, we'll be focusing on those people outside the US whose lives are linked to the policies of the US president. Few more so than the people of Afghanistan. It's a country ravaged by decades of war in which the US has played a major role. In the early 80s, Washington spent more than $3 billion to help Afghans fight the Soviet occupation. It became the first front in George Bush's war on terror after the September the 11th attacks. In Washington, they provide billions in weapons, aid and infrastructure development, but violent attacks continue. Both presidential candidates say they'll increase troop numbers if elected. Hossein Khoda reports now from Kunar province.
Some of the influential voices of Kunar province. These tribal elders don't believe deploying additional US forces would bring peace to Afghanistan. These men, who are allied with the Afghan government, say the only solution to end the violence is if American forces take their fight across the border into Pakistan.
Sending more foreign troops to Afghanistan will attract the enemy, and the enemy is on the other side. Troops should fight them there.
That border is not far away. Over the years, the Americans have steadily increased their presence in Kunar, one of the most deadly provinces for these soldiers. Now the commanders say they need more troops, or else it would be a slow win. This mountainous area along the border with Pakistan is where the enemy of the Afghan government and international forces is based. The focus of U.S. military operations has been in this region, but they haven't been able to bring it under state control. Some residents of the Kurangal and Page valleys rarely go home, especially if they work for the government.
The mountainous areas are under Taliban's control. If they know I work for the government, they will hurt me. They are very strong, especially in the western part.
The western part lies across this river, and one of the strategies being employed by the government and their American allies is to try to secure all areas and separate the fighters from the population.
Now what we're doing now is, of course, as I mentioned, we have the roads going up the arteries, the Kunar Valley and the Pesh Valley. And we're also constructing currently 9 bridges across the Kunar River, so we can link the east side of Kunar to the west side of Kunar province.
Afghan officials say the only way to defeat the Taliban and their foreign allies is to strengthen and increase the number of Afghan security forces so that they'll be able to hold territory.
The enemy comes sometime and makes some trouble on the road, for example, in night time, and they disappear. They will not able to stay and fight with us, but they just make some destruction and disappear.
On the surface, it doesn't look like one of the most dangerous provinces in Afghanistan. Local people in Kunar go about their daily lives. But this is in the provincial capital, Azadabad, not in surrounding districts where the real fight is taking place. Areas the U.S. military hasn't been able to subdue. And sending more troops, at least for the people here, is just not the answer. They say more international soldiers mean more targets for the enemy and, in turn, more violence for the people of Afghanistan. Hossein Khoda, Al Jazeera, Kunar province.
Well, to discuss what effects the outcome of the US elections will have on Afghanistan, I'm joined now from Kabul by Afghan Member of Parliament Jamil Karzai. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Karzai, live on Al Jazeera. Tribal elders said in that report that sending more troops in was not the answer. Do you think the Americans are hearing those statements or even listening to them practically?
Thank you. In the past 7 years, we've been witnessing that American government, especially in the case of bombings, they never listen to Afghan government, they never listen to anyone, just they do what they want, and still that's why, the problems are increasing day by day. They have to change their policies, they have to change their strategies to fight terrorism.
But after 7 years, one would expect some tangible results, some positive results in Afghanistan. Can you at least tell me what positive outcomes have happened, if any?
In past 7 years, after the agreement of the Bonn in Germany, we have very significant outcomes. For example, we had elections, we had interim administration, we had transitional government, and we had all the election systems here. And according to all those agreements in Bonn, the Afghan government has fulfilled its all promises, all commitments, but the international community it's behind, and they have not fulfilled their commitments. Especially Americans, the United States of America, still they're behind on their promises. And in case of terrorism, fighting poppy cultivation, and still I have to say that they have to change their policies. They have to listen to Afghan government, and they have to change their strategies.
Well, strategy may be changed slightly if either Mr. Obama or Mr. McCain take the presidency, because they want to see more troops deployed to Afghanistan. That seems to contradict what President Karzai wants. He wants less American NATO intervention and more support for the Afghan forces and Afghan police.
By the deployment of troops, it's something good, it sounds good, but still, Afghan government needs, the Afghan National Army needs to be strong, Afghan police needs to be strong enough to fight terrorism, our secret agencies needs to be strong enough to fight terrorism. By only American troops, deployment of American troops or NATO troops, the problem cannot be solved. Our government should be powerful, should be in a position to fight terrorism. If NATO or if Americans, United States, if their troops want to fight terrorism, the terrorism is not inside Afghanistan. Their hiding places are that side of border, that side of Durand line. They have to fight them in their houses, in their own places that they're hiding. Afghanistan is a battlefield for them. They're coming and going back. 7 years back, 6 years back, Afghan government times and times have been telling international community that hiding places for Al-Qaeda and terrorists are that side of the Durand line, and they're equipped there, they are getting everything from there. So now international community got to know that Afghan government was telling them the truth, and now if they fight against the terrorism on that side of the Durand line, so still it means whenever you catch the fish, it's fresh.
Well, as you point the finger across the border, and to our viewers who don't know what the Durand line is, it's the border between Afghanistan and Pakistan. As you point the finger towards Pakistan, who do you think then, in terms of presidential candidates, would be best placed after November to actually deal with the problems of Afghanistan and the issues of terrorism across the border, the Durand line, the international border between Afghanistan and Pakistan, that both Presidents Zardari and Karzai admit there is a problem there?
Yeah, but I understand that our president, Mr. Karzai, and Pakistan's elected president, Mr. Zardari, they both say that terrorism exists in both Afghanistan and Pakistan. They're under the pressure of terrorists, and we have to fight terrorists together. And they are in the North Waziristan, they are in all those areas, hiding tribal areas. And again, I have to say that in past 7 years, we've been telling them, we've been telling Pakistan, we've been telling international community that the hiding places for Al-Qaeda and terrorists are in tribal areas. And now Pakistan admits that, yeah, it's their hiding place, and there should be a strong operation against them.
But do you think Obama or McCain are better placed as president in November to help you with this issue? Which one?
Sorry, I didn't get you.
Do you think candidates Mr. Obama or Mr. McCain will be best placed as President of the United States to help you solve this problem?
As far as I think, Mr. Obama will help Afghanistan, will help the region. As far as I've heard, as speeches, as plans for Afghanistan, or especially for this region. So I think he can do, but I never heard anything from McCain, something about that. But Mr. Obama seems to be strong enough to do something for this region.
Well, we shall see what happens. Jamil Karzai joining us there from Kabul. Thank you, sir.